welcome tonight to the Chamber of Commerce 2022 School Board Candidate Forum. My name is Ashley Rosati and I am the current chair of the Glendora Chamber of Commerce. But before we start this evening, if everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place your right hand over your heart and ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. So it's a true privilege and an honor for the Chamber to be able to host this community opportunity for you to get to know the candidates. I just wanted to make a preliminary statement saying that the Chamber of Commerce has not formally made any endorsements. We will not make any endorsements, and tonight is just about providing access for the community and the candidates to get to know them better so that you can best make an informed decision and do your endorsement by casting your vote on Election Day. So with that, I would like to recognize our Executive Director, Joe Cena. If you don't know Joe yet, I highly recommend you pop into the village and see him at our office. Joe is amazing. He is the heartbeat to our organization, and he just does a fabulous job. So with that, I just want to thank you, Joe. And lastly, I would like to introduce tonight's moderator, Ryan Ottosen, who will be asking tonight's questions. So Ryan, if you would like to come up and do some housekeeping and enjoy. Candidates, good luck. And I hope you enjoy tonight's questions and get informed answers.
All right, Ashley, thank you. And she's not wrong about Joe. If you don't know Joe, go see him. He's an amazing man. He does a lot of great stuff for the business owners in the community. So make sure you see Joe here. I think we can get a little bit more red before we get going. So before I get into the housekeeping, let me do the right thing first. Candidates, welcome and thank you. I'll be right back, so take a deep breath, get situated. Let me address the crowd for just a second. So first and foremost, fellow citizens, you're going to see some people floating around. They'll be standing up. They'll have 3x5 cards in their hand. They'll have pencils. If during this process you want to ask another question, just give them a little wave. They'll come over. We should have 2 or 3 floating around at all times on either side. Go ahead and write your question. They'll run it back over here for you, and it'll go through the process. Good? All right. Second thing is, this is an opportunity. Look, I'm a guy who loves good, honest, open debate. Right? The idea of public discourse to get the best idea for the community, well, it's a fabulous thing. Okay? It is. But in order for iron to sharpen iron, in order for that public discourse to happen, we have to give respect to the people that said, hey, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. Right? And so if they're speaking, then let's not speak over them. Let's not be yelling out. Right? In order to get the best, look, you guys are here because you care about the kids. Right? I'm here because I care about the kids. We're here because we care about our community. And so if we're going to do that, then let's make sure we're honoring the process when it's their time to speak, or if I'm asking a question, same thing. Absolutely zero tolerance, right? Any shouts out, any cutting off a candidate, any of that sort of stuff, it won't be tolerated, right? There'll be a kind, gentle reminder, and then that'll be it. Look, let's be real, right? We call ourselves Pride of the Foothills. I love that. When I first moved to Glendora, that tagline, I looked everywhere so I could find a license plate frame. Pride of the Foothills, that's what I'm talking about. Now we get to act like it. Now we get to earn it. Now we get to have good discussions, right? And we get to move through the process, and our character as a community will be defined tonight, right? There's a lot of, are you ready? Oh, this is going to be crazy. No, it's not. It's not. I know you. Right? You're citizens of this community. I see the way you take care of it. I'm fortunate enough to drive around and see the way other cities handle themselves. And you guys do a really good job. And I expect that we will, again, earn the title Pride of the Foothills tonight. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here. Those of you that are supporting candidates, thank you. Those of you that are here opposing candidates, thank you. Those of you that are here just trying to figure this all out, thank you. We appreciate your being here. There are a couple of people floating around. I'm going to say this really quick, and I don't want to spend a lot of time here. If you feel the need and you have to get it out, and somebody comes up and nicely taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, look, character, let's just let's not embarrass our children tonight, right? Then just remind yourself and leave that alone. Let's not have the second conversation come where then we have to ask you to leave. So let's be mindful of the process tonight. Timing rules. There's been a ton of timing and questions about that. So before I go over the rules, which nobody really likes anyways, thank you. Thank you. Right? You and your willingness to engage in public discourse makes our community better. It does. I don't think any of you are here today because you're out to do the children harm and you're out to do mean things to our community. I think you're here because you have an idea and you want to see that idea brought to fruition and you want to improve our communities. So for the time and the energy that you put into this, thank you for that. This makes our community better. So I wanted to say, from me to you each tonight, thank you very much for being here. Okay, so timing rules. You guys should see 3 handsome men up front. I love that they raise the signs, right? 3 handsome men and they tell you to stop. If there is a question directed specifically at a candidate, which if you did not know, you can. You can ask a specific candidate a specific question. Though the question gatherers, they'll bring them over here to Joe and Marilyn. They'll sift through them. I'm just going to get piles of questions. They're over there somewhere. And then we'll just get going. So if it is directed to you candidates, you get 2 minutes to respond. You won't see a clock. Our timer will just hit go. What you will see is a sign that says 1 minute. It'll look like that. There it is. And then you'll see one that says 30 seconds. And it'll look like that. At the 15-second mark, you'll get another one. And at the stop sign, that says stop. It's not red, so I know we're programmed for red. But stop is stop. So as soon as DJ flips up that stop sign, I'm going to count 1001, 1002, and then I'm going to say thank you. And then at that point, as much as we're asking them to honor the process and not speak out over you guys, I'm going to ask you guys to do the same thing and honor the process. If the question was directed at you and you have 2 minutes, then if it wasn't, you have a 1-minute response. This is a forum. This is your opportunity to share your vision and your idea with the community. We're not hosting a debate. If that's how you choose to spend your 60 seconds, that's okay, but you won't get a chance to have a rebuttal and there won't be any back and forth discussion. We're just going to move on. It's an option if you want to take your 1 minute, so you don't have to, okay? So 2 minutes. If there's a general question, which we have some of those, then everybody gets 1 minute and we'll just move on to the next question. Friends and family, just so you know, our candidates, we had a highly scientific process to figure out who's going to go first. They're each going to get 2 minutes. And our highly scientific process, because I know some of you want to know, was we ripped up a 3x5 cards, we wrote 1 through 4 on it, we shuffled them on the desk, and they all picked. So they all agreed, they all played, and each candidate will get 2 minutes to introduce themselves and start tonight off. And at the end, each candidate will get 2 minutes to close us out. Can we get a mic check?
Testing.
That's a no.
No lights on.
Beautiful. Cliff? Gary, sorry. Here we go. Good.
Yeah, mine's on.
Yeah?
Can you hear me?
Ready to go?
No, try that again.
Do you want us to turn them off?
Can you hear me now?
Great. Doesn't matter if I can hear. Can you guys hear?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, get comfortable. Candidates, take a deep breath, settle in, get the mic situated, okay? So tonight, opening order will be Zandra, Shauna, Monica, and Gary. On the way out, again, very highly scientific, we just flipped it. It is what it is. Some of you might want to know, I'm not typically this person, but some of you want to know everything, otherwise you won't be able to sit still and participate. So, if it is a general question and everybody answers, we're going to do it again scientifically. The first time it happens, we're going to start at one end and we're going to work our way down. And the second time it happens, we're going to start at the other end and we're going to work our way down. And if we get crazy, we might start in the middle. All right. Seems easy enough. As we get going, again, last second, Marilyn, you got the first question fired up and ready to go? Okay, perfect. I just want to say thank you. This is important. As a chamber to us, we want to value you guys. We want to be a value to the community. We want to be a value as a legislative action committee. So if there's ever anything you want to know about what the chamber is doing in the legislative world, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Ryan Ottosen, or Joe. And without that, let's get underway. Everyone's ready? Everybody? I was gonna keep the woosah, take a deep breath and let it out. Ms. Sandra, 2 minutes. You're on the clock.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the Legislative Action Committee for hosting us. My name is Sandra Borg. I have lived in Glendora for nearly 50 years, and all 3 of my children attended Glendora schools, and currently my grandchildren are attending Sellers. I am running for re-election because I love our schools and I've devoted my life to education. Early in my career, I opened the first daycare at Lefebvre Elementary. From there, I went to Arcadia Unified, where I held various roles from classroom teacher to administrator. I have been on the Glendora School Board for the past 5 years, and I'm proud of our accomplishments. For example, since 2007, Glendora has been in declining enrollment, along with 70% of the districts in California. The district had not adjusted our student-to-teacher ratio to reflect this, and GUSD was overstaffed. The board approved a generous early retirement incentive to all staff and teachers, and 55 persons took advantage of this, saving the district over $1 million annually. This allowed the district to provide generous pay increases to teachers and staff. As the board president, I led the district through the enormous challenges associated with the pandemic. Despite this, we were able to be the first district to fully and safely reopen schools. We partnered with the city to offer alternative learning environments, and we secured computers for every child. Looking ahead, I am focused on the Every Child Initiative, where we meet every student where they are, both academically and social-emotionally. A high priority are career technical ed pathways and our dual language immersion program that we hope to launch in the fall of 2023. I'm committed to making sure that every student is prepared for their postgraduate lives wherever it takes them. That is why I'm running.
Sean?
Good evening. My name is Shauna Elias. I'm a local real estate agent, and I've lived here in Glendora for the past 14 years. I was born and raised right next door in San Dimas, and I come from a big law enforcement family. My dad and all of his brothers are retired, but both of my brothers are active duty law enforcement. And in fact, my dad started his career right here in Glendora, which makes my most recent endorsement from the Glendora Police Officers Association extra special to me. I'm the wife of an immigrant. My husband Trini came to the United States in 2009. He was born and raised in Canada, and his family's roots are both Canadian and Mexican American, so he likes to tell people he's North American. My most important role is a mom. I have 2 young sons. My oldest, Braden, just started middle school, and my youngest, Zachary, just started kindergarten. When I'm not working, you can typically find me either at our baseball fields or a hockey arena or somewhere in between. I never aspired to get into politics. Like many of you, I paid very little attention to why our schools were so great, which feels a little like a luxury now. I decided to seek this role after witnessing what I felt was a decline in leadership of our district. I'm looking forward to answering everyone's questions tonight, but I'm going to wrap this up by laying out my 5 main areas of focus. First and foremost, and I cannot stress this strongly enough, I will be an unrelenting advocate for parents and our rights in our kids' educations. Second, I will be an advocate for teachers so that they know they're respected and have the support that they need to help our students succeed. Third, I will work to restore transparency and trust between our board and this community. Fourth, I will work to bridge the divides of the last 3 or 4 years. And lastly, I'll work to refocus this conversation back to academics so that our students are prepared for their lives after they leave GUSD. Thank you.
Monica, please.
Hello, Glendora. I am so happy to see such an incredible turnout. I love and appreciate community engagement, so thank you. Thank you for being here. My name is Monica Garcia. I am a mother of 3, 2 of which attend GUSD schools and 1 in grad school. I'm running for Glendora School Board because in my many years of volunteering in the classroom, supporting our teachers with varying positions, PTA, in GHS, Goddard, Cullen, with the Glendora Education Foundation, supporting their work and commitment to our district, and as a certified Barton reading tutor, working one-on-one with kids who are struggling to read. In these roles, I have seen the amazing work our teachers do to keep our students engaged and learning. I have collaborated with teachers, administrators, and community members. I didn't decide to run on a whim or as a response to anything happening locally or nationally. I would have ran regardless of some of the recent turmoil because I am passionate about our public schools, our students, and our community. This opportunity to be on the school board is a way for me to continue to serve my community and our students. I love our schools. Can we do better? Absolutely. We can and should always strive to do better and continue to do the work that is needed to meet our community's expectation, but more importantly, to prepare all of our students for success in their post-high school life. When elected, I will make sure our district continues to put students first and do my part to advocate for students, support our teachers, and collaborate with our parents and community to help lead our district to a place where we can all be proud. I want to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to answer questions from our community. My hope is that after this forum, that after this forum you feel a bit more informed, but knowing that our time is limited, please do not hesitate to reach out. I have a link on my website, directly emails me. I respond my own social media comments, and I reply to all of my emails. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here.
Gary.
Good evening, and thank you for participating in your local government. This is a pivotal time in our city's history, one where decisions made at the school board need to be inclusive, collaborative, business-friendly, and based on community and parental input. Our current school board has lost its way as it relates to empowering parents, communicating with teachers, staff, and most important, leadership, civic leadership, educational leadership, political leadership, and leadership that exemplifies positive change and increased test scores. Leadership that focuses on the classroom and academics, not our living rooms, and family values. Leadership that focuses on the ABCs, not the CRTs. Leadership that respects our Glendora value system and our community. My name is Gary Clifford, and I am that leader. I've spent my life leading organizations to their better selves. I have a graduate degree in organizational leadership from Azusa Pacific University. I put leadership in action as a police officer, business executive, college professor, mayor of this beautiful city, city council member, and numerous other local positions. I'm endorsed by our local police department, the Glendora Police Department, multiple city council members in Glendora, and over 40 elected officials in this region. It's time to change direction and leave the many sins of the current school board behind us. It's time to look forward to a new plan. My friends, I ask that you vote for Gary Clifford in Area 1 to create that new plan. A plan that focuses on our community and the environment. A plan that includes parental controls and discussion. A plan that keeps our children safe while they're at school. And a plan that teaches each child to be a leader, increasing their test scores and focusing on their future. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. As we grab the first question, if everyone could be kind enough to silence their cell phones, put them on mute, do not disturb, vibrate, put them outside, do whatever you need to do after. Got one for them? All right, first question of the night. Looks like this is a general question to everybody. So, Sandra, we'll start with you. It's been a minute. And we'll just start the easy head on down to the left. So the question is, what experience do you have being in a classroom? And when was the last time you were in a public school classroom?
Well, the last time I was in a public school classroom in Glendora was last week when I toured Sutherland Elementary and got to visit many of the classrooms and mostly of the new teachers. So I got to see the excitement that was going on with the kids being back in school and back in a classroom. My experience comes from my own personal teaching career. I was a teacher in Arcadia for 10 years and 15 years in the 4th and 5th grades, and loved every minute of it. I was always there for the kids. That's where I miss that. I miss being around the kids. I was an administrator where I dealt with every department, fiscal, personnel, education services. I've worked with the school board out in Arcadia too. So I have a huge background in education and lots of love for kids.
So, President candidates, it's optional. Gary, would you like your 1 minute? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, General, 1 minute. Sorry, Gary, forgive me.
I would. Could you come back to me in 1 minute? I swallowed down.
Sean?
Well, I don't have a background in education, so my classroom experience, the last time I was in the classroom with my kids, unfortunately, was pre-pandemic. Just helping as a parent helper in the classroom.
So it was a little faster than a minute, Gary.
That's all right.
Okay.
Sorry. I can tell a joke if you need.
So since about 1998, I've been a college professor. I teach at Azusa Pacific. I've taught at University of Phoenix. I taught at USC. And I currently teach for Los Angeles Pacific University in a classroom, a full load at municipal governance, criminology, and business. From about 1998 through 2015, I actually worked in the classroom at Glendora High School, teaching every senior at the high school Free Enterprise Week with some other business executives. So they all went through our classes, and some of the people in this room were there, and also as teachers. And I currently work with Charter Oak High School in that Free Enterprise Week now. So I estimate I have about 30 years of experience in the classroom, as a college professor, as a teacher, and many more years of that as a volunteer and a parent, as all of my children went here. My grandchildren now attend here, and my wife Lynn and I have been volunteers throughout our system. Thank you.
Please.
My experience in the classroom starts back when my grad school student was in elementary. I have been involved in all the schools that my children have attended. We moved from Palos Verdes to Arcadia. I volunteered in Arcadia, and I volunteered here the second my children started at Cullen Elementary, and even prior to that at Foothills Christian when my son attended preschool. So I have been in the classroom every single year. I have been able to be in the classroom post-pandemic, because as volunteers we are allowed to be back in the class. We are allowed to help out. With my experience on PTA, I'm very involved. I am the chair for the dance committee at Goddard PTA, and I am also hospitality chair for GHS PTA. So in the class very often, and in the school, in the campus, in there helping out as much as I can.
All right, so our second question is another general question, Monica. So since I said we were going to go that route, I'll stall you for a couple of seconds if you need to take a sip of water. But our second question, again, it's everybody a 1 minute response. What are the greatest challenges that you believe students in elementary, middle, and high school are facing now?
Our children are facing some serious challenges right now, and especially post-pandemic. We see and we hear from teachers, from counselors, that our students are struggling with mental health issues. They are struggling with behavioral issues. They are struggling academically. There's a lot of learning loss that has taken place, and we can't ignore that. We need to address all of those things, and with the same urgency, because they are all extremely important. I know mental health sometimes gets pushed aside. I'm very happy to see that now it's become at the forefront of our plans as a district, because we want to just help the whole child. That's really something that I'm passionate about, making sure we address all of their needs, not just their academic needs, but their social-emotional, behavioral, just the whole child.
Thank you.
So I think you can look at our test scores and see that one of the big things that's facing our students is just a declining academic success, which I think needs to be addressed. Certainly, I'll concur with what Monica said. Post-pandemic, we are seeing a lot of mental health issues, behavioral issues, speech issues. So I think probably over the next few years, we're going to be dealing with the repercussions of COVID-19, unfortunately.
Thank you, Ryan. There's a lot of challenges that I look at as I was taking some notes. There's definitely some post-pandemic issues. Children going to school wearing masks during the day at recess, coming home, and not being able to see facial expressions from their friends from years. I think they have to get over and back into the groove. Test scores and a lot of things have changed since then, including enrollment. I think the children have increased expectations because of a diverse job market. I think that there's a lot more opportunities for them right now. But I do think the district needs to provide more leadership and direction for our children and more opportunity for them. I don't like the turnover of teachers that happens every year. I like stability in our teaching staff. And I really, really believe our facilities need improvement. We need to put money into our facilities and give teachers the resources they need to be able to deliver academic excellence.
Hi. I would agree with Mr. Clifford about the facilities. We absolutely have some issues there, which I'm hoping we get into later on. I think the students are struggling in many areas right now, and a lot of it is post-pandemic. But the greatest challenges are not always in the classroom. Some of it is based on technology and not having citizenship, electronic citizenship, technological citizenship, safety at our schools. The mental health issue is real. Kids have been home for a year, sometimes unsupervised, and parents were working too. So it was a challenging year for all of them. There were no tests given, standardized tests given during the pandemic. So last year was the first year. And I have to say, we've hired counselors, we've hired interventionists to help with the learning loss at every site. So the students are getting services. We just have to catch up now.
So as you all prep, because this is another general question, I'll stall for you a little bit. Let me say thank you for honoring the time, the cards, and making sure we're moving along nicely. This will help get more of the audience's questions answered, so thank you for that. Since it is another general question, you all have one more minute. The left and right already got old. So Shauna, we'll start with you, then we'll move to Monica, then we'll come down to Zandra. Gary, you'll finish this one off. So Shauna, we'll start with you. As a board member, what is your long-term vision for Glendora Unified School District? 5 years out, what do you see for students and staff?
So I really see us getting back to having quality leadership in our district. I think that starts, sorry, I don't know if everybody can hear me, but that starts at the top with our school board. And I think you can see the breakdown in leadership right now from the top down. So my goal would be to bring back leadership into our district. I think that will lift morale among our teachers. I can't imagine how it is in the classrooms when the morale is so low among our teachers. Like at some point that impacts our students as well. So 5 years from now, I would certainly hope that we have good leaders, increased morale, we're in a better spot altogether.
Thank you. Monica?
Okay, this is something that I've been thinking about carefully because it's an important role of the board to set that work that actually gets us to meeting those goals. So it's important. Personally, I would like to see an education system at GUSD that prioritizes the success of the whole child, every child. I would like to create a collaborative district that engages teachers, students, parents, and community members. I would like to see a district where teachers feel seen, heard, valued for their critical role in our educational system. I want to support the district in providing our students with 21st century learning. These skills include critical thinking, collaboration, technology literacy, social skills, and many more that will help them keep up with the lightning pace of today's world. I want to improve our sports facilities. Guys, we don't have a track. That's bad. If we want to be number one, those things are important. We can't have a number one school district without a proper track. Let's make sure we're not running on an expired merit badge. Sorry, I have one more.
In the next 5 years, I would picture a staff that is respected and likes being there, likes children, and are constantly being exposed to professional development. We can all improve, and there are new ways and things out there that are happening, and our staff needs to be prepared. So attending professional development and providing it are important things. I think we need to look at our AP courses at the high school and see if there are more courses that we can provide for students to excel. We need to look at our career tech ed programs at the high school because many students aren't planning on going to college or they're not meant for college. And they need to have skills to enter either into the job market, go into a trade, go on to college if they're that, or if it's military or into a career. So those are some of the things I would look for in a 5-year period here.
Thank you, Ryan. Like Martin Luther King, I have a dream too. And that, there's lots of things that I wanted to accomplish over the years as city council. And we really worked well with the school board when I was on city council. But communications have to be better, both the staff and the community. I was shocked to hear we didn't have any standardized testing last year. I mean, the students lost a year of life, and we really need to prep for and make up for that testing. To have an inclusive management team. I've been talking with teachers throughout our district who've just been crying about the way they're treated, the way students treat them, the lack of support in their classrooms. And bigger than that is a balanced budget and having facilities and technology that allow teachers to connect with students and do the job. So I would make sure that there's money to do that. And lastly, I want to give incentives for everybody who lives in Glendora to work in Glendora. I live next door to a teacher, and during the COVID, the students were in and out of her house on her front porch, having that dynamic. And I think if you live in Glendora and you want to work in Glendora and teach for us, you should be at the top of the list. Thank you.
All right, it looks like we're going to venture out into our first candidate-specific question. So, Monica, this one is for you. You'll have 2 minutes to respond, and then if the candidates choose, they can take that 1 minute. So, Monica, here we go. If you're putting students first, then who or what are you putting second, third, last? Wouldn't this ultimately create more contention and divide?
That's a great question, but an easy one to answer. I think everyone who goes into education does it for the students. So if I am putting students first, it's because I understand that our teachers have decided to teach because of the students. So they're putting their students first. Administrators, every decision that they make has to be for the students. So I don't think that by putting students first, I'm putting anyone second. I have a priority. That's my guiding principle on the board. And I think that'll make my decisions a lot easier, because if something is not considering their students, then I need to reevaluate it, I need to go look at it, because at the end of the day, we're all here for our students. It doesn't mean that we can't coexist and prioritize the teachers and administration and our needs as a district as a whole. I think it's important that we have that one thing that guides us and reminds us why we're doing this work. So thank you for that question, whoever put it.
Shauna, we'll start with you. If you choose to respond, you have 1 minute, and we'll go and Gary and Amazon. Okay, Gary?
It's easy for me. I put teachers and administration first because the result of a healthy organization will be students that have an outstanding place to go to school. My focus will be on those credentialed teachers to make sure they're motivated and they're happy and they're local and they know our community, they know what we value, and they're able to translate that into something in the classroom that's a great experience where the students come home and the parents can enrich what they learned during the day, and the next day they come back with more questions. So I believe if the organization is healthy and if the administration and teachers are working with the community, you're going to have a fantastic educational product, and those students are going to get the best of the best. That's why I live in Glendora, and that's why I'm going to return this district back to that status with the help of others. Thank you.
And I too feel that students come first. The rest of it falls into place. Teachers are there for the students. They are, if you will, clients of the district, and we need to serve our clients well by providing them with the most capable teachers, no matter where they come from. They go through an interview process and work with students. Teachers need to be provided, as I said earlier, with ongoing training. Ongoing, not one and done, but something that they can go back and refer to, because we don't always use it every day, so you have to be reminded of what's out there. Students are the reason if they weren't here, we wouldn't have jobs. We wouldn't have our facilities, we wouldn't have our educational system. And last year was the first year that there was testing last year, it was the year before. So I want to amend that. So they did have standardized testing last year. Thank you.
Okay, so this question was actually written twice to two of you. So we'll give Gary, you 2 minutes to answer, and Shauna, you 2 minutes to answer. And we're just going to combine it into one question instead of having the same card. So Gary, we'll start with you, then Shauna, and then Monica, if you want your 1 minute, we'll have it, and then Zandra will have you close out again. So here's the question. Gary, we'll start with you for 2 minutes. Please define traditional values. Your taglines don't mention students. How do they fit in?
Thank you, Ryan and Chamber. I happen to be prepared for that answer. I get a lot of questions about that. I'm a traditional person. So in reality, traditional values refer to the standards and values which were embraced by most Americans from its earliest beginnings and throughout the majority of history. It is believed by many, including myself, that these values were a great part of what made America a great and free nation, the absence of which will likely result in the decline of our country. These include things like honor and respect for the family, diligent work ethics, absolute values of right and wrong, honesty in business practices, wholesomeness in leadership, respect towards authority, moderation rather than excess, and most importantly to me, taking responsibility to provide for our own self. Now I believe Glendora has those values. That's why I live here. I bought my home here and it was expensive when I was a young police officer. It was hard to live here. I didn't have furniture for the first year, but I lived here because I wanted my kids to go to school here. And I believe that my traditions that I just explained are in line with my community. This community has more churches than it has liquor stores in it. And I believe that the children benefit from this value system, and that's the value system I believe in. And I believe that value system is a combination of what children learn in our living rooms and what the academics they learn in the classroom. And I appreciate that question, and I will be here all night if anybody wants to challenge me on that. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
Shauna, you'll also get 2 minutes to answer that.
Okay, thank you. So I received that question a couple times recently, and I was a little surprised because actually I'm not running on traditional values. My tagline is a voice for parents, a voice for Glendora. So I mean, my definition of some traditional values would be honesty, integrity, responsibility. I think those are all good values. But if I can kind of pivot to what I'm running on, and that's really being an advocate for parents and our rights in our kids' educations. I don't need a government official telling me how to raise my kids. Secondly, be an advocate for teachers. Our teachers, and I had no idea, I'll back up for a second. When I first decided to run, I decided to run for my kids. And one of the first things that happened after I announced was I started getting requests from some of our teachers to meet privately so they could tell me their stories about what they've been through for the past few years. And I was a little surprised. I thought, well, I wasn't expecting that. And some of the stories that I have heard are heartbreaking. The way our teachers have been treated is so wrong, and it really, those conversations changed the entire direction of my campaign. It changed from being strictly about my kids to being equally about my kids and really standing up for our teachers. So while I appreciate traditional values, that is not what I'm running on. Again, I'm running to be an advocate for parents and an advocate for teachers. Thank you.
Monica, if you'd like the 1 minute, it's yours.
I'm not going to take the full minute, but I do have, I know they can't respond, but I want to put the question out there. I understand these traditional values. I live by most of them, probably all of them. And I don't see that lacking in our community, and I don't see it lacking in our schools. So this idea of bringing back traditional values is very confusing to me. So I feel like there's something missing there because I don't see that missing in our school district. Also this idea that our school district needs to be saved, that it's on fire, that it's, it's very concerning to me because we say it's on fire, we need to save it, but yet we say we have the most amazing school district. It's very contradicting.
And same, Sandra, if you want the minute, it's yours.
Thank you. Traditional values are important, but it's also important that we prepare our children for an ever-changing world. It's changing by the minute. They're gonna go out, they could leave this bubble of Glendora, and many do. Some return, but many do leave. So they have to be prepared to go out and have careers, jobs, and just looking at the teachers, if you think about a teacher in a classroom with 32 kids or kids that move in and out of their rooms all day long, they are parents, they are nurses, they are counselors. They have so many other job titles that we need to give them support too, as far as handling all the different, especially the behavior issues that the kids are having right now. So I would advocate the support for parents as well.
Sandra, this one's specifically for you, so I'll buy you a little bit of time to get situated. You'll have 2 minutes to respond. We'll move down the line. Gary, Shauna, finish with Monica. Question is, what exactly do you mean when you say you are for our kids? Can you be more specific?
I am for our kids to have a 21st century comprehensive education, which includes, let me just flip over my pages here, learning skills, critical thinking, finding solutions to problems, creativity, thinking out of the box, collaboration, working with others, communication, talking to others, literacy skills, information literacy, understanding facts, figures, statistics, and data, and where is that source coming from. Technology. I'm so big on technology because it changes so quickly and these kids need to be prepared in this world. Understanding machines that make the information age possible. Life skills, flexibility, leadership, initiative, starting projects, strategies, and plans on one's own. Productivity, managing efficiency in an age of distractions. We're distracted by so many things in our world today. Social skills, meeting and networking with others for mutual benefit. I just want them to be able to leave our district and enter into whatever they are heading to. Like I said earlier, college, career, the workforce. a trade. They just need to be able to be problem solvers, think out of the box for solutions to problems, and be a good citizen who votes and understands the civics of our nation.
Gary, the minute's yours if you want.
I don't need a minute. I'm focused on children. I have 3 beautiful children because of my wife. And I don't know anybody in this room who isn't for a child, but I would agree that many of the things that Zandra talked about could be done out of the classroom, not in the classroom. And I really want to focus on the behaviors that give our children the advantages of the things that are not ever changing, like math and reading and science and physical education. Remember that one? Why don't we have physical education? I was tired when I left school because we had a lot of PE. But all of those things, I want to focus on what we test on, the core skills that people need. And then I want to collaborate with parents to let them decide, you know, what kind of human being they want to be, whether they want to be Democrat or Republican, whatever they want to do outside it. It's a collaborative effort, and that's what I look at. So I focus on the parents, I focus on the community, and again, because of that synergy, you get this outstanding child. And that's what I believe in. Thank you.
So I think we're all here for the kids. You know, I think we have different ideas about how we're going to give to our kids. Me personally, my plan to give to the kids would be to take care of their teachers, make sure their parents are heard. And, you know, like on an airplane, when the oxygen masks come down, you put it on yourself first, so then you can put it on your kid. And I think at the point that we're at right now in our district, in order to best serve our students, we need to make sure that our teachers have the tools that they need, that our parents are happy with the education that their kids are getting. So that's really my focus. It's focusing on the bigger picture in order to get our students ready for their lives after they leave our district.
You want it, it's yours. No? Okay, great. Ms. Merrill? I like that, making sure we're not doing that. That's nice. Sure it's not counterfeit. All right, we're gonna go back to a general question. So we'll start with you, Monica. That'll be fun, and we'll run our way down the line. So 1 minute on this one for each. Okay, here we go. I want to make sure I'm following the arrows correctly. Did you get the Glendora Teachers Association endorsement? Secondly, if elected, how would you earn the trust of the teachers?
I accepted the invitation of the Glendora Teachers Association for endorsement. It was a very thoughtful, thorough interview process. I had to answer 8 very deep questions with regards to my intentions for the district, my support for our teachers, my belief in the union. It was intense. I was nervous, but I did the work. I answered all the questions. I think I did great during the interview. Unfortunately, the powers that be in this community decided that the Glendora Teachers Association was in disarray and shouldn't endorse. And so they put some signatures together, as they have in the past, and decided that they were not going to endorse any candidates. But I did take the time to listen and ask questions because I value our teachers as a whole, as a group. And I will continue to advocate for them and work alongside them.
Thank you. Sean?
So the individuals that put those signatures together were the teachers. I did not seek the endorsement of the GTA. I politely let them know that I wasn't interested in that. And it's for the reason that I mentioned earlier. When I first started this process, the number of teachers that came to me, I mean, teachers I don't even know, I've never met before in my life, sobbing because of the things that they had been through, and a lot of them had gone to the GTA and asked for support and didn't get it. So in good conscience, I could not align myself with an organization that I felt was not only not supporting the teachers, but was detrimental to the teachers. So I have been working my tail off to get the individual endorsements of every teacher in this district.
Right, of course, Ryan. My beautiful oldest daughter was teacher at Glendora High School. She was Teacher of the Year, and I love our teachers. I want you to know that the Glendora Teachers Association didn't even give me the courtesy of a phone call, ask me to be interviewed, or anything. And I tried to get a hold of them. There's another group in town that I put myself out to, and I called them, and I texted them, and I called many times and said, will you please interview me? Crickets. So you know what, I don't belong to any group. I'm endorsed by our police department, which as a retired cop makes me feel pretty darn good. I'm endorsed by my district city council member and a couple more that are in this room, makes me feel fantastic. I'm endorsed by my wife, which is the best endorsement. Jesus told me the other night he endorsed me, which felt really good too. But more importantly, every elected official that I work with in this community, from assembly to senate, up in Sacramento, has endorsed me. Go to my website and look at the endorsements. There's over 40 elected officials. So I'm very disappointed that the union didn't reach out to me. I manage thousands of union people. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Well, I did receive an invitation or a notification from the union to complete an 8-page written questionnaire, which I did, and one of the questions was, how would you advocate for teachers? And I would advocate for teachers for, number one, for academic freedom, to be able to teach what they want, how they want, supervise kids under discussions. They are trained, they've had multiple years in college, they've had multiple years of experience, many of them with master's degrees. They have the capabilities and the experience to handle discussions without banning words or books from the classroom. These teachers should be allowed their academic freedom.
All right, this is another general, so all 4 of you get 1 minute to answer this one. This time, Gary, we'll start with you. Zandra will go to you next. Anna Monica and Shauna, you'll finish us off. So here we go. This question is, everyone claims to have plans to advocate for teachers. As a 20-year veteran teacher and a voter in Area 2, I'm curious to know what each of you means by that, and what can you please identify as your first order of business?
Thank you, Ryan. I don't claim to be an advocate, I am one, and I play one on TV. I manage people, and from the line level all the way through, I have an open door, and you wouldn't believe how that, or I don't even believe in hinges on doors. My doors are open and people can come in and out. I live next door to a teacher. I've lived next door to her for 25 years. Her name's Kathy Marston. If you want to know if I'm an advocate for teachers, ask her. Ask my daughter. I believe that the Glendora teachers are the best in the business. And again, I believe that if you live in Glendora and you want to be a teacher, you ought to be able to teach in your own community. I believe that the community and the students benefit from that. And so what does that mean? I'm willing to take my personal time and meet with you and listen to what you have to say and do something about it. That's what that means. I'm not going to have a conversation and send you a note back saying, talk to the superintendent, talk to the attorney. I'm going to give you an answer, and I'm going to be a dogmatic person on the board that helps resolve your problem as a teacher.
Excellent. Thank you, Gary. I will do my best. Everyone claims to have plans to advocate for teachers. As a 20-year veteran teacher and a voter in Area 2, I'm curious to know what each of you means by that. And would you please identify as your first order of business?
Well, I think I talked a little bit about advocating for teachers and their academic freedom. I also would advocate for professional development, ongoing professional development for teachers so that they can stay current with what is out there for teachers to know and be doing in the classroom, working with students to help further those 21st century skills that I talked about while teaching the basics, math, writing, reading, arithmetic, we can't call it that anymore. But those are all basic skills that all children need to know, but they also need to learn the rest of it along the way, the collaboration, working with others. I would support teachers for their professional development and also for evaluations, because I think you evaluate someone for growth, not for a gotcha, but to help people grow.
Okay, first of all, I want to acknowledge that it saddens me as well to hear that some of our teachers are not happy. I've heard it as well. I've talked to many teachers. I too have the endorsement of a lot of our teachers and community members. I don't list them on my website because I want you guys to know that a lot of our teachers feel that they cannot express who they support in this community. They feel that they are being, people come up to them and question their beliefs and question who they support, and that shouldn't happen. I don't want to go off topic, but I too have teacher support. I've spoken to many teachers. Some were unhappy with Dr. DeLeon. She's gone. We have a new start. Some felt they were not being supported by parents and community members. Shame on us. Most of them just want to be able to get back to doing what they love. They want to be prepared. They want us to look at them, listen to them, engage with them, ask them before we make any crazy changes. They want us to take them into account, and that is the one first order of business. Take them into account and listen to them.
So this is almost so simple it seems silly, but really I think teachers just want to be heard. Part of the frustration over the last several years from teachers is just the feeling that nobody is listening. I think at some of the board meetings, some of them stood up there, and our board members, some of them don't even give them the courtesy of looking up. I mean, go back, look on YouTube, you can watch, like checking their phones, checking their emails. And, you know, I mean, teachers have some very serious concerns. So I would advocate for teachers by just listening, making eye contact, hearing what they have to say, and then taking meaningful action based on what they need.
All right, it's another general question, 1 minute each. Zandra, we'll start with you, we'll run down the line. With declining enrollment, what are some areas you see the Glendora Unified School District improving to be more competitive with nearby districts to return, to retain and attract students?
Declining enrollment is a problem that we've been experiencing here in Glendora since 2007. So you can do the math. We've lost about approximately 100 students a year for various reasons. We have low birth rate. We have people that can't afford to buy, a young family can't afford to buy a home here in Glendora. Folks like myself, I'm a boomer, so my kids are grown and I still live here and I don't contribute to the schools anymore. But we have to,
How would you be, what would you do to make the district more competitive with nearby districts to retain and
for bringing in new students to the district, we're looking at career tech education. We're looking at a dual immersion language program that we're hoping to open in the fall at Sutherland with Spanish and English to invite people for unique programs that other districts don't have so we can attract students to the district.
Straight down the line, Gary.
I think that's where being a business person helps, looking at the external environment and seeing, what does the external environment have to offer? What does the organization need? And what can you do to flex the organization to be powerful and respond to those needs? Some of those things are technical classes. Whatever happened to those? Whatever happened to wood shop and auto shop and those things that give people life skills? I still remember, don't tell anybody, DJ, taking a class on how to change disc brake or shoe brakes. I still remember to this day how to put on shoes because I learned how to do it in high school. There's some things we don't do anymore. More technical classes, school to work classes. Focus on our local workers and see if they want to bring their children to school here while they're working. But more importantly, focusing on test scores and getting our teachers motivated to make the students perform better. Listening to the external environment and responding appropriately as an organization to be world class.
So I think the decline in enrollment, there's a couple different factors. Obviously, there's the demographic of Glendora is older, so their children are out of school. So I think we need to look at it, and that's in collaboration with the city and what the city can do in terms of bringing new housing opportunities in. I know we don't, the discussion of like high density housing is always a hot topic. But those are the kind of things that you have to talk about when you want to bring in additional student population, because typically those families have younger kids. But I also think we need to get our own house in order at this point and work on the morale of teachers, working on bringing parents back into the conversation, because there have been, in the last couple years, parents who have pulled their students out of Glendora and either taken them to private schools or are doing homeschooling because they don't agree with the direction of the district.
Thank you. Declining enrollment is an issue for 70% of districts. It's not unique to Glendora. So yes, even though our demographics do play a role and the cost of our housing, I have a 24-year-old daughter. She wouldn't be able to come to Glendora and purchase $1 million home. She just couldn't. And I want grandbabies. But more importantly, I think our district needs to remember that our world is changing and we need to make sure that we prepare our students for that. And if we can't offer that in our district, families will go out and search outside of our district. We don't have any coding programs. Our STEM program leaves much to be desired. And it's not for everyone, but it is an option, and we need to make sure that we bring that back. Dual immersion program. I am a product of dual immersion. I am biliterate, bilingual. Those things are important. They're high in demand, and we need to make sure our students are prepared for the real world and that they have these options.
Yeah, I see you, but man, rules are the rules, so that's the way that is. We're gonna move on to the next question, and this one is directed at Zandra, so you'll get 2 minutes. And then if anybody wants to take the minute after that, they can. So this one, Zandra says, what do you mean by letting teachers teach what they want? Would parents be aware of this?
What I mean, I should have probably phrased that differently. Let teachers teach the curriculum the way they want. Let them have the freedom to facilitate discussions, to talk about what meaning the kids are getting from a language arts book, from a history book, from a math problem. Teachers need to have that freedom without somebody standing over them and being afraid of what words they're going to use in a classroom or what books they can't use. That's what I mean by academic freedom and teachers doing what they want. As far as bringing in a book, I brought in a book just to share with you, and hopefully I'll get to a question about it later on, but as a teacher, I brought in many storybooks to read and connected it with real life events, their own personal experiences. That's what a teacher does.
The minute's yours, Gary.
Good, because I can go back a little bit now. The biggest problem with that previous question about declining enrollment was when someone said, we've had it since 2007. That's a problem. This is 2022, and we're still asking, what are we going to do about it? That will change. The other issue I have is, I'm a teacher. I teach at a university, and I have freedom to teach. But I can't bring in a book that I want, and I can't bring in a guest speaker that I want. All of these things are encapsulated in some kind of a program that has been accredited and vetted, and so the board of directors of that university has approved it. I struggle with someone at a board level saying, let teachers do what they want, because that's what I heard. I'm glad that question came up, and I'm glad we were able to edify it, but I was a little scared for a minute. That's all I have to say about that.
Sean, if you want the minute.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna let parents unpack that one themselves. I am probably not the only parent in the room who hears something like that and is concerned. You know, and so when you're talking about, you know, them bringing in other information for math or, you know, English, that's all fine and good, but there are certain hot button issues that the parents in this room might have a problem with. So I trust our teachers, I love our teachers, but I think even teacher parents would tell you that that statement is a little alarming.
I think I believe Zandra when I say that, when she says that she misspoke, and we need to have a little bit of grace. I don't think anyone in this room wants teachers to teach whatever they want. Come on, guys. That's not what she meant. That's not what it is. Teachers don't teach whatever they want. They have a curriculum, like Mr. Clifford said. They even decide as a grade level what books they're going to use, what additional material they're going to use. They don't just go to the local store and say, oh, let me use this one. They discuss these things. Let's trust our teachers. Let's trust the process, that this is how teachers teach in the classroom. Let's trust that they are going to teach age-appropriate content for the curriculum that they're being mandated to teach.
Shauna, this one's for you, so you'll have 2 minutes to respond, and then we'll go down the line after that for a 1-minute response. So Shauna, 2 minutes. The question is, what if a student does not have a parent? Foster youth, homeless, etc. That's the question.
I'm a little unclear. What if?
The question says, what if a student does not have a parent? Foster youth, homeless, etc.
Well, I don't really know the context of that, but I'll just say that Glendora should be a place where every student feels welcome, where they feel like they can show up and they have support from their teachers, from staff, from their friends. It should be a place that they go and they enjoy. The idea that a child might not want to go to school or might dread going to school, to me, is totally unacceptable. So what if they don't have a parent? I don't know, they should be treated the same way as if they did. I think that when our students show up to school, it's an even playing field. Everybody should be treated the same. Nobody should be categorized or prioritized for any reason whatsoever.
Monica, we'll go to you next if you want the 1 minute.
Yes, thank you. I think the reason that question was asked is because when my opponent says, well, let the parent unpack that leaves many of our students at a disadvantage because they don't have a parent at home to come and advocate for them, to unpack that for them. Therefore, we as a district need to unpack it for them. We need to be advocates for our students, all of them. Not everyone, not every child, guys, as much as we want to believe that they do, not every child has a mother and father at home where they're going to have these lovely conversations and be able to have discussions that will guide them and lead them in the way that we want to believe that it happens. So it is important that the school has a place for these kids, that we don't just say, let your mommy and daddy talk to you about that, because that is not the case for every student.
Thank you. I happen to have a little data. In 2021, we had 6,800 students in Glendora Unified. Socioeconomically disadvantaged were 27.4%, so that's about 1,700 kids. English language learners were 5%, 341 students, and foster youth are 0.5%, but that's still 34 students. 34 kids that are in our classrooms that don't have a biological parent. They're probably in a foster home. So we need to look at the needs of those students. We need to look at the needs of all students, connect them with agencies, see what if they need some doctors, nurses. We might need clothes for them. We might need food, whatever the needs are that our counselors are created and are trained to do. So we need to look at all students with equal needs.
Thank you, Ryan. I find it interesting. I think that I did work in a school as a police officer, and there were children that needed help. And every healthy organization that I ever worked for had a process to take care of those children with open arms and open hearts. I'm struggling a little bit. 34 children have foster parents. I think that's a good thing. Foster parents are good people. I don't know why all of a sudden, oh, if you have a foster parent, you need somebody at the school to talk to you because, we don't think that, you're doing the right thing. I used to take children from bad crime scenes to foster parents. They opened up the house with love. They're paid by the county. There's a process for that. So if a child is homeless and they're running around and there's nobody to manage that child at home, the school should have a process, and they do, to work with children that need a familial support. But my argument would be that foster parents are capable people that know how to do that, and they should work collaboratively with the school if there's an issue. Thank you.
Another general question, so everybody will get an opportunity. Monica, we'll start with you. Zandra will come down with you, and Shauna, you'll finish at the end. Great question. What is your view on the increasing amount of sexual content, curriculum, and experimentation being taught or encouraged in K through 12 schools? So 1 minute for everybody. Monica, when you're ready.
Yeah, that was a lot of
words.
Talk about unpacking something.
All right. What is your view on the increasing amount of sexual content, curriculum, and experimentation being taught or encouraged in K through 12 schools?
Thank you for repeating that. That's concerning. I, again, have 3 children, one graduate school, one in high school, 10th grade, has gone through both curriculums, sex ed, and the 5th grade. 5th grade and, what is it, 9th grade? Sex ed courses, and none of them have taught anything about experimentation. And we do have very open conversations at the dinner table with our kids because we want to be part of that conversation, so we are intentional about that. I have taken a look at our sex ed curriculum with our school. Dr. Prince did a very nice, detailed video. If you guys want to look it up, it's on YouTube. You can look it up. It's August 2021, please, and if you can, I'll be more than happy to share the link. There's a lot of misinformation, and I just want to say that that is not happening in our schools. That's scary.
The California Healthy Youth Act, which took effect on January 1st in 2016, requires school districts to provide students with integrated, comprehensive, accurate, and inclusive comprehensive sexual health education and HIV prevention education, at least once in high school and once in middle school. Those classes, again, are taught by a very trained teacher. There is no experimentation being taught. I would rather have my kids in a classroom with a trained teacher learning all of this information than I would having them going on the internet and finding it out. The 5th graders are offered a video about how the body is changing, boys in one video, girls in another. For more information on the exact curriculum, contact the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
You can have the 15 seconds.
Thank you. One thing I should tell you is GUSD currently does offer these courses, and parents always have the right to opt out of whatever's being taught. You have the right to preview this material before it's taught in the classroom, and you can opt out if you so choose.
Thank you.
I hope that's not one of the classes that people have freedom to teach what they want or bring whatever book they want. I'm appalled. My grandfather had a saying, and I love that man. He said, "That dog don't hunt." And that's how I feel about this. I absolutely don't think that the things that are taught, like Monica said, this should be taught in my home. This should be taught by my beliefs. I believe in the 10 Commandments. They don't teach that in school anymore. That's something they got rid of. I remember in public school they used to do that. But what I'm telling you is I believe that sex education and those linked items that aren't part of STAR testing or quality testing are things that belong in our living room and things that belong with the family and things that don't belong in the classroom. I believe in the curriculum that we have and what we've done, but I would absolutely be aberrant that it was experimental and getting incrementally more, and I think parents should be alerted by that and be involved. Thank you.
So I realize that a lot of this stuff that we see online and on the news has not made its way to Glendora yet, but parents are forward thinking, and so I think the concern is it's not here yet. So myself included, I think parents want to know that issues of sexuality and sexual experimentation are not going to make their way into the classroom. So I personally think it's a valid concern for parents. I personally teach my kids that the same thing actually I was taught. No adult should be talking to my kids outside the context of a couple of classes in elementary school and high school about the biology and the way the body works. I don't want any adult talking to my kids about sexuality or sexual experimentation at all whatsoever. And as the daughter of a police officer, it's just a safety thing, period.
Okay, we're gonna try to get 2 more questions in. You guys are doing a great job. We're making great headway here. So one minute, this is a general question to everyone. Gary, we'll have you start. Sandra will have you, we'll go Gary, Shauna, Monica. Sandra, you'll close this out. The question is, what actions will you take to ensure a kind, empathetic, and safe environment for LGBTQ and BIPOC students and other minority groups?
Thank you. It's a great question, and that's something that I explained earlier. You have to be acutely aware of your external environment. You don't need to have your entire process change to focus on one problem in that external environment, but you have to have the capability to handle those issues as they come up, and any school or anybody who employs people has that come up, and you have to be able to listen to the people that have that issue that they want to talk about, understand the gap between how they feel and what needs to be done, and provide the resources for that individual to get healthy again and feel safe and confident. And again, Ryan, that's something that you did as a police officer on campus all the time. You helped students who felt they didn't fit in, feel in. And it just requires a process in the organization to handle it. And not to put your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening. But you don't have to create the entire environment. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be that big.
Thank you. John?
So for this, I'll just, I guess lean back on my own things that how I parent, right? And so I teach my kids to be kind to everyone. When I talk to my kids about kindness, I don't like self-categorize everybody. You have to be kind to this, and this. It's just a general concept of kindness. Be kind to everybody. It doesn't matter what color someone's skin is, what their sexual preference is. It just doesn't matter. And so it makes it a very easy conversation. And I think we can take the framework of a conversation that you would have with a 5-year-old and apply that all the way up the chain because it stays the same. Just be kind to everyone. And something that my father used to say all the time, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. I mean, I think it's a great lesson. So, but I would just say, teach them to be kind to everyone.
Please.
I need more than 1 minute, so I'm gonna be quick. I really think we need to remember 10% of our students ages 13 to 17 are LGBTQ. That's a lot of students in our community that are feeling left out and underrepresented. Our Asian and Black population in GUSD is growing. We need to create safe spaces so they can tell us what they need, how we can better serve them, both the LGBTQ and our BPOP community. Many teachers do this already, and I was very happy to see this at Back to School Night. Our teachers have flags, they use inclusive language. The kids know that their class is a safe space, and I'm very proud of that. They understand, these teachers that are already doing it without being told, that they need to put their students first, that it's not about their own personal beliefs, it is about our students. My goal is to make these practices that our teachers are already doing at the high school level be a district-wide practice. All students should feel safe, seen, and represented in their school and community. When we as a district set the example, our students will follow, and so will our community.
Thank you.
We have students and adults on our campuses who identify as LGBTQT, and we can provide a learning environment that is safe, inclusive, and does not discriminate against anyone. Every student deserves the right to feel safe, welcomed, included, and be represented on our campuses. If our teachers need more support and training to feel prepared and comfortable making all students feel welcomed and included, then let's provide it. Students also need role models to model respect, kindness, understanding, and support of all students. And I guess it's my turn to raise an eyebrow about healthy again. What does that mean? I don't see anybody unhealthy that identifies with either of these groups. And BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. So we have both mixes on our campuses, and they all need to be treated equally.
Okay, this is it. You guys are doing a great job. Last question of the night before you get your 2 minutes. Gary, we'll start with you. Sandra second, Monica third, Shauna last. Simple question, 1 minute response. How do you plan to pay for the facilities upgrade? Set that one down right there.
That's all right. I don't mind talking about this at all. There's obviously our district is an older district and we need to renovate it and do some new things. It's a calculated business formula. Whether you sell buildings that aren't occupied anymore and you create new ones, or whether you go to the populace and say, gee, we want everybody to pay a little bit more so our district can be better, so our property values even go higher. There's different methods to do that. But I want to tell you, if we still have a shrinking enrollment, and it's been going on for 15 to 18 years, We need to look at that and, take advantage of that in looking at how to reformulate our school to get the balance set so we can start repairing our properties. And we started looking at that as a city council member, and I think that's a joint city council and school district thing, and that's where I benefit this population. Thank you.
Zandra, the minute's yours if you want.
Okay. GUSD, as we know, was built in the 50s, so our facilities are aging and district maintenance continues to repair systems that no longer are supported by even parts anymore. One solution is a bond, which is similar to what Mr. Clifford was talking about, asking the community to help support this. The board can put forth a bond measure, but I don't feel like the climate is right now to pass it. We've tried in the past and it hasn't been approved. However, if Glendora is serious about increasing our standing and becoming a #1, we need to have a #1 facilities, like a state-of-the-art track at the high school, air conditioning that works and is from this century at the middle school, competent infrastructure to run technology, just to name a few. We need to pay, and we need to be able to pay for it. The last needs assessment for facilities was upwards of $200 million. Ultimately, that decision is up to the voters and taxpayers. All the board can do is put up the question to the voters.
Monica, again, the minute's yours if you want it.
Yes. I go back to, if we want our school to be the #1, then all solutions need to be on the table. As much as I would love for us to be able to work with the budget that we have, an $80 million budget, as much as it sounds like a lot of money, it's not enough to do these improvements. That's why they haven't gotten done. And so, if I had to decide between closing a school and presenting our voters with a bond measure, then I will leave it up to the voters to decide if they want to have a #1 school district. The reality is that as a board, we are responsible for $80 million of our public tax money. And it is crucial that we come up with ways to spend that money that creates and supports a district that will deliver the student outcomes that our constituents want. So it's 85% of our budget is used on salaries and benefits. We only get 15% of our budget to use for everything else. That's a little bit of the pie for a big part of the problem.
Shauna, the final minute's yours if you want.
So when you're talking about the amount of money that would be needed to upgrade our facilities, it's massive. And so really the only thing on the table, I think, would be a bond measure. And I know that, as Zandra said, past attempts have failed, and it's the climate is not right. She said the climate's not right to pass a bond right now. And I agree, because there's a big lack of communication between our board and the community. Something like a bond measure needs to be properly explained to the citizens of Glendora, but I think if you can help them understand what the benefits would be, I think we could probably come to the table and do something. And in real estate, I'm a real estate agent, so I see the overall impact of great schools. It's not just for people who have kids in our schools. It helps property values long-term, so that's the information that needs to be conveyed to Glendora citizens.
Thank you. So as we let them prepare before they each give their 2-minute closing statement, again, it'll be reverse order. Gary will go first, then Monica, Shauna, and Zandra will close us out. Can we just please take a minute and give them a round of applause? I feel like it's always better to be in the ring than a spectator, and so for you guys to get in the ring, I appreciate that. Let's kick off these 2-minute closing remarks, and Gary, you're first.
Well, thank you. I thought we only had 1 minute, so I just want to kick off with this. One of the major differentiators between my opponent and I are the last statement she made, where she said, all the board can do is put the question up to the voters. I think there's so much more that the board can do before that happens when it comes to working on the infrastructure, and that's where I come in. My wife and I have been here for over 40 years. My oldest daughter is a teacher, and her first job was at Glendora High School. My son's a deputy sheriff, and he lives in town, a product of Glendora School District. My youngest daughter is a businesswoman and a wife, educated in Glendora. They all three own their own homes. They're doing fabulous because of this school district and because of my wife, Linda Clifford. People come to Glendora and they're willing to pay high home prices to be a part of the Glendora School District. We all know the value there. I will represent the change you need to reverse the trend of families leaving our school district because of declining test scores, value systems, and tenured employees that have left a hostile work environment. My plan includes our entire community, property owners, parents, teachers, and staff. This plan includes reaching out to local, state, and county officials to challenge and collaborate laws they bring down to our schools. I can create that change. I've been a mentor and leader in this community for over 35 years. I call on my fellow Glendorans to help me in this endeavor. Help me make the changes and keep our local values our families expect from our school district. I'll bring educational leadership back to our community by empowering parents, empowering teachers, empowering staff, increasing property values, and keeping our children, teachers, and employees safe while they're at school. Go to votegaryclifford.com, make a difference in November, and God bless Glendora and every one of you here tonight. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to once again thank the Chamber for hosting this forum, and to, of course, all the community members that are here present and engaged. I am not a politician or a salesperson, so this is not easy for me. But what I am is a community advocate and a longtime volunteer, a mom who is passionate about our students' education and our schools. I am an advocate not just for my children, but for all children. Public education is not a place for divisive politics. It is a place where we as parents entrust our teachers and administrators to abide by the policies set forth by our state and local governments while providing a safe environment for all of our children. A place where they feel valued, seen, heard, and where they are academically prepared to be contributing members of our society. When elected, I will make sure that we are honoring this responsibility. I will hold our administration accountable to meeting the goals that are set. I will be intentional about listening and engaging our parents when making decisions that affect our students. The words change, growth, progress, they shouldn't scare us. They should propel us. Our children are counting on us to make decisions that will impact their future and their readiness to compete in the world outside of Glendora. I hear a lot about restoring Glendora values, restoring voices. I have spoken to many longtime community members, and what I understand Glendora values to be is a love for community, a sense of belonging, and a long-standing traditions of schools like the Homecoming Parade in downtown Glendora, which we're having soon. What I offer you is not replacing any of that. I too value community. I respect traditions, and I value treating every person with respect and dignity. I have demonstrated my commitment to our schools through my years of volunteering. I have shown commitment and stamina for this work. I am ready for this responsibility. I will continue to be available for questions and to meet anyone from all sides willing to have a conversation. I've been doing this throughout my entire campaign. I've sat down with Mr. Kuhn, I've sat down with city council members, parents, teachers from all sides. Please do not hesitate to call me or email me. Thank you.
Sean.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and thank you especially for the Chamber for putting this on. Ryan did an awesome job tonight. I think the amount of people in this room is a pretty strong indication that Glendora is ready for a change. Myself, Gary Clifford, and Paul Lopez represent that change. I'm gonna just wrap up by reiterating my 5 main areas of focus for everyone. First, I want to get the conversation refocused back to academics so that our students are prepared. when they leave GUSD. I'm going to work to bridge the divides of the last several years. I want to restore the trust and transparency between our board and this community. I'm going to be a strong advocate for teachers, so our teachers know they're respected and have the tools that they need to help our students succeed. And last and most importantly, I am going to be a strong and unrelenting advocate for every parent in this district and our rights in our own kids' educations. Thank you.
Sandra, it's yours.
Thank you. While I've spent my career wanting to make a difference for students, I know how important teachers and staff are in molding young lives, making connections, and fostering a safe, welcoming learning environment. Our staff is the backbone of all things any school board member strives to accomplish. As a former teacher myself, I stand strong for a teacher's academic freedom to be leaders in the classroom while facilitating learning without banning words or books. They are trained professionals who have received years of coursework in college, professional development, and have earned the respect and trust to be able to guide students through their educational experiences. I would be very leery of any candidate who claims to be about the teachers while being endorsed by a group who is actively trying to ban words, control curriculum, and rallies against teachers' unions. Parents have always had rights, and there is a right way to be involved. Join school site council, be a volunteer, make sure you go to parent-teacher conferences, and just be a figure at your school. I truly believe that all students matter, and as a district, we should constantly be evaluating ourselves to make sure our students are being provided with a modern 21st century educational experience. I am here because I love all children, and I feel that these past few years, the students have been lost in all of this. However, they have always been my #1 priority. I hope to earn your vote so I can continue this important work. I am open to any questions, and you can find my email on my website. I encourage you to contact me with any of your ideas or questions. And just one more thing, declining test scores were a lot due to the pandemic, and it was nationwide. It wasn't just unique to Glendora. And our property values have actually gone up 30% since the pandemic was going on. So I think we're doing a pretty good job here.
Thank you. Do me a favor, just keep clapping for everybody at the chamber, Joel, Marilyn, Cliff, James, TJ, thank you, and then Ashley, just keep clapping. It's an amazing thing when a community comes together, because that's what this is. It might have felt divisive on the way out, but you came united for our kids. And so when you leave here tonight, leave here united. Leave here knowing that you participated. Leave here tonight knowing you participated in something. There's a lot of other people